was thinking about moving here.
Call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. This is a work session meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale, Tuesday, September 10th. I'd ask everyone to please rise to salute our nation's flag, and I'd ask everyone to remain standing for a moment of silence. We're saddened for the news we received that former councilwoman Sue Smith had passed away. So please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call.
Mayor Dunley.
Here.
Councilmembers Tomato.
Here.
Short. Here. Councilman Conklin is on vacation this evening. Delariva.
Here.
Sandemeyer.
Here.
Yazdi.
Here.
Also with us, Jane McCarthy, our municipal clerk, and Tracy Way, our borough attorney. It's an official meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale for January 2nd, 2013. Public notification of the date, time, and place of this official meeting is faxed and mailed to all local news media, posted here at Borough Hall. As for State Fire Code, I'm to acknowledge there are two emergency exits. The door which you walk through, a door exit to my left. If an emergency was to arise, walk orderly through these exits, out the door, and exit the building. Any questions on that issue, please raise your hand. There's no need for an early executive session. We do have two non-agenda items. One we'll need action on, the other just for discussion for action on our next meeting, the 24th. Those two items are granting sick leave to employee William Morris from our utility department. And the second item, again, will be for discussion, is a granting permission to utilize an easement on Birch Road within the town, and I'll explain in detail when we get to that. So we will not take action on that. I want you guys to understand it and maybe look at it yourselves before we take action. So those are two non-agenda items, sick leave and a potential use of a borough right away by a resident, which we've done in the past. I have a motion to open early public comment for agenda items. So moved. I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone wishing to speak to an agenda item, please come on up, state your name and address for the record. Yes, sir.
Al Miller, 7 Mary Street. I did get the opportunity to see the boat down at Glacier Field. It looks very nice. Now, we're also buying a backhoe, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the backhoe, the dump truck, which you didn't have the Kubota.
I'm sorry?
We got the dump truck, we got the Kubota, now we're just waiting for the backhoe.
Correct.
Okay. Just again, real quick, I know we did this before, but now, the Kubota was kind of small to me.
The Kubota is utilized for primarily the utility. Pretty much all utility use, but if DPW needs it for a purpose, they'll obviously use it. It is primarily for jobs such as curb box replacements, when they're digging trenches on laterals. They don't necessarily need the bigger machine, and it fits that purpose. For curb box replacements in the past, our town would rent the and/or subcontract that work out. Our staff is entirely doing
You say, what, curb replacement?
curb box. It's the box that connects the lateral from the main
Right. Okay.
at the curb, and then the resident's responsible from that point to the home. Our curb boxes are either non-existent, broken, or very antiquated. So we have a plan where we're replacing quite a few of them.
We're going to do all that work.
We have, yeah, actually he's doing quite a few. So the quota serves that purpose, as well as digging small trenches for water line replacements. Its reach is quite long for deeper holes that are either on lateral or sewer line.
That doesn't look that big. But anyway, another question is, we talked about before, the operation of this building. Now, I mean, I would think, all of our borough, all of the street employees, they're all union, right?
Yes.
I mean, isn't there, they have the certification to run the various equipment? Like
Everyone is,
backhoe?
well, every DPW employee by contract is a CDL licensed operator, all of them.
Right, the CDL is basically just to drive a truck.
Well, I'm
right?
saying that's the requirement per contract that they must have.
contract for what? The union?
Yeah, the union contract requires CDL.
And my question is that, I know, again, I'm no expert at this, but what I do know is if some of the union and some of the contracting unions, people have to get certified on the use of some of this type of excavator. And my question is, and again, I'm not nitpicking anything, but I would not want to see anybody get hurt.
Of course.
Well, we have from my home tent.
You had raised this point when we purchased the item, and I responded the same way I'll respond now. We have a machine operator per contract who is trained in machine operating. Now, certification, there's no legal term like a CDL.
When you say trained, what does that mean? Did they attend school?
In the past, he has attended training, I'm not sure what schools, before my time, and he's been on the job for, he's been with the borough for 20 plus years.
No, my concern is somebody's hurt. I mean, ultimately, the town could be liable. Okay, if we were to come back to the point that somebody made a statement, I wasn't qualified to operate it, or somebody was never certified.
And Al, it's a great point. That's why I think you have more liability if you throwing a guy in the back of a garbage truck without any training.
Oh, no,
And-
that's the way of the world today. Everybody's crazy.
But here's what's different.
Yes.
Jane can attest to this, that I am quite diligent about our safety committee. We just had our quarterly meeting on Monday, where we are utilizing through our joint insurance fund every training possibility. I require every department to do a minimum of 6 quarterly training videos per quarter. Now, these are videos self-instructed by the department heads, ranging from crosswalk training for our crossing guards to even inter-office training just for safety in an office, and of course, the larger scale risks of DPW. Whether it be backhoe training, hazmat training, we are constantly doing training. And it is offered as a free service by our JIF, our Joint Insurance Fund, and we utilize them to the nth degree.
All right. No, I just know when you start digging trenches, you start laying pipe, you start chaining up pipe, dropping pipe and holes.
Absolutely.
You have people working down in the holes. I mean, you know what, it's the only way seeing anybody get hurt.
Right. No, and I appreciate that. And then I just want to comment one more thing. Being that our goal is to have more done in-house, okay, which you well know. But for the past many years, even though we didn't do a lot of this in-house, our staff was on site. Our staff was in the hole. Our staff was laying the
Oh, yeah, no.
So it's not like they went from doing nothing to...
No, I didn't say, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
there's a difference between being a spectator and running a piece of equipment.
Right.
There's a big difference.
Absolutely.
I just know that, you know what, it's not one of these things you're just gonna jump on, and you know what, you're just gonna magically, know how to work it, how to be safe, and, do everything you're supposed to
Because
do.
digging of the holes, we're in the hole, I know Frankie's got confined spaces.
Find space training for it.
He's definitely certified. in
Yeah,
confined
no, I'm just, the operations equipment, you start lifting pipe and chaining pipe and dropping pipe in its range, and
Great
you got
stuff.
those people down there working, I mean, it only takes one mistake.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else to an agenda item?
Linda Huckney, 68 Avenue. The amendment to the policy handbook in regard to the health insurance opt-out, what exactly is the amendment that's being made?
Right, which we'll discuss in detail when we get to it. We have, in May of 2010, a new law was implemented that capped the amount an employee can get on opting out of insurance. The borough's policy was $10,000 if you opt out to take the borough insurance. 50%? I'm sorry, it's 50% of the savings.
Right.
The new rule, which we are implementing, which we already amended the manual last or 2 meetings ago, is now 25% or $5,000, whichever is less. That we already changed. What we're changing tonight is stating that in the policy manual, it is now annual process, so that every year an opt-out is considered a new opt-out. So that there's no grandfathered opt-outs that someone may say, I've had that, I should stay where I was, because now this change is going to make it an annual opt-out. So every year, which I'm about to put out now in our open enrollment period, which is November, every employee will get with their open enrollment options, changing plans, an opt-out every single year, and that's what we're amending.
Is that addressed already in the contract study?
It is for white collar, but it's a non-collective bargaining topic, so it should never have been. It means nothing in the contract. So it no longer will.
So it's 20 going to be changed?
25% or 5,000, whichever's less.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, just to clarify the point, it is a clarification law to make sure that every employee is abiding by the 25% or $5,000 requirement in the law.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. There are no presentations this evening, though, and I was telling a lot of people tonight was the Riverwalk presentation, so I apologize if you were the one of the persons I told that. It is on the 24th. Our next meeting, 7 p.m., will be the Riverwalk presentation by Burgess Associates. Reports, Jane, do you have any reports?
Just as a reminder, tomorrow night is the candlelight service, and we will be lining up at 7 o'clock and stepping up at 7:30 in Butler. We're proceeding to Sloan Park, where we'll have a dedication of our memorial. And also, we have listed on the website the special election dates for October and, voter registration in November, so they're on the website. That's it.
And as you see, the water report, everyone's copy of the water department report. Tracy, do you have anything to say?
No.
Most of the items I have are on under pending business. To recap, bring everyone up to speed on a few things. One thing I will mention, Jane, you mentioned on the website, it was brought to our attention that current adopted budgets were not on the website, and Jane is in the process. We tried to scan our 67-page document, and Jane had a hell of a time, so we just got the PDF from
Former
Former
auditor
auditor.
and the current auditor. And I think Bill Benzie got one today.
today. Okay, so maybe correct, but no, that's a question. Okay, moving along. I'm sorry, Council, I don't have any.
Can I just touch on
Yes.
that?
Yes.
If I may?
Yeah, please.
Right, as people know that there will be Bob Cosman 5K run on the 28th of September, going really well. If anybody's interested in signing up, we're 2 weeks away. Don't hold up on that. So far it's been successful. On the Bob Kochko website, it will show the route will be taken. There'll be a reverse 911 letting all the people on those streets know those streets will be closed. And the race will start, the kickoff of the race will start at 11 o'clock in the morning and wind up at the Leisure Field for the opening of Pride Day, which we thought would be great. The support from the town people has been fantastic. The help from the police department, Joey and his gang, has been great. It's, for some reason, it just seems like it's really going smooth, so it's kind of scaring us because we've never done this before. But if you're interested, or anybody's interested, please don't wait to sign up. It's going to be a great function.
What if you don't want to run, but you want to donate?
You can go on the, if you go to Bob Kochman 5K website, it'll direct you to make a donation, or a check can be made out to the BFD 5K and mailed to the fire department, or left here for me to pick up and for Bob Kochman, and it'll go directly to the fund that we have set up here for the West Garden Foundation.
John, there's a run, and then 15 minutes later, there's a walk. So, if you wanted to walk,
Yeah, if you want to walk, you can walk. The runners will kick off at 11, and of course, they'll be going a little bit faster because there's people, this is actually a certified race, and there's people that take this pretty serious. We have a whole time company coming in, and they get what they call the bibs that are chipped. So when you leave, the clock starts, and when you end, it ends. It gives you your time. There'll be a medal ceremony afterwards. If you want to walk it, you're more than welcome to. Right now, we track it pretty much every day. It's 50-50 walkers and runners, which we're kind of shocked because the numbers are the same going all the way through. But we're about 150 participants right now. Our goal is 200 to kick off. So it'll be a good event.
John, how about it's broken down to age groups?
Yeah, well, thanks, Bill. The medal ceremony, we're doing it by age groups. So just because you're 18 years old, you're doing it in 15 minutes, because people won't do it in 15 minutes, that doesn't matter. So we're breaking it, and I don't have the ages in front of me, but there's age groups for every medal. So if you're a little bit older, there's a group for that, a little middle age, and then we do have one lady that's 84 years old signed up to walk. So we know who that is, so we will watch her carefully. The Wayne Fire Department is bringing up some of their first aid stuff. Triborough's bringing an ambulance down. I said, the police department, Butler Fire Department, Kettle Fire Department is going to help us with traffic. So it's going to be interesting.
Great. Thank you very much. And as John said, the finish line is at Glacier Field, which will almost kick off the start of Pride Day, which I'm well over 70 vendors to date, and then taking more on the use it. So, it'll be a great day. Okay, anyone else? Yes. Yes.
The two boards on liaison to the Health Department and the Environmental Commission, I think we have to get the word out that both of these boards need 2 new members each. So,
Where that?
yeah, well, I thought maybe if
Yeah.
we could advertise it somehow, we could do that. The Board of Health meeting reviewed the noise ordinance last night that we're passing. And I guess the question boils down to who's enforcing it
Well, the code hasn't changed, it's always been
and they will enforce
correct.
the hours also.
That's my code. Again, if it's on a Sunday afternoon, you get a valid complaint, the police department's going to have to be the first response. But it's the reason it was Board of Health solely was because it was measured like decibel.
Right.
And they're the only ones who have the device to do so.
Yes.
Again, if someone is mowing their lawn at 5 a.m., the police will not.
Which reminds me, when,
Mowing your lawn at 5 a.m.
when we've been walking, we had complaints from people around the Leisure Field about the announcer being very loud, very late. Is that,
It's 4 times a year, and it could be until 10:30 late. 4 times a year.
but it doesn't exceed this ordinance?
No,
You
because
know, well, I guess
the
no
ordinance
one's
is
ever
power
complained.
tools, equipment, not
So it wouldn't be a party at your house with a band or
It
anything
could
like
very
that?
well be true, because the decibel part's still there.
Right,
But it's measured, the decibels are measured from so many feet from the property boundary. So if you have a large lot and you're making noise over here, it's not measured on where the noise is coming from, it's measured at 50 feet from the boundary line of the property which is saying there's a fence. So if someone on Van Dam, for example, or Walnut Street, whatever, complained about the announcement, it's measured from their property line. So you can't imagine the vocal would be over 80 decibels or whatever it is. But again,
if someone made a complaint, it would be checked though.
I'm sure it would. It's 4 times a year, so.
I can double check it next time.
You have a decibel?
I think I have one somewhere. I have, well, no, my father's an audiophile. I was,
Yeah.
home movie type stuff, so.
Because I can hear the Leisure from my house. You know, it's very,
Really?
because it echoes in the valley.
Wow.
You get it more than 4 times a year. It's 5, 6, 7 days a week for probably 5 months. Presently.
I pumped in the fireworks.
You'll have to buy silence fireworks.
It was great.
Moving along. Yes, moving on to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out the Board of Education meeting that was regularly scheduled for last night has been rescheduled until next Thursday, the 19th.
Great. 2 items that I didn't put on the agenda, just for information, are there is a grant available for any Passaic County resident that I put on Facebook, reached for me the website, Jane, and it's a $7,500 grant, which in essence is free money, it's not a loan, for anyone, for home repair, roofs, siding, furnaces, and surprisingly, the income levels are pretty high. I mean, it was like a family of 4 could still make $60,000 some odd dollars and still be eligible. Okay, so it's on the website. Know anyone? It's a rehabilitation grant. Okay. And then there's also a program that Pat Yamasee, our senior, just brought to my attention. We get more information and bring it to the council for information and put it on the website. If you have a senior citizen making less than $14,000 a year, there's a county program that can employ these people if they want extra income. Clerical type work, various things like that, where they can actually be employed by the county through this program for a 2-year maximum. And the reason it came out was I was looking into the bus driver. You know, we have a bus, I want to get a bus driver. They don't allow driving for this program. But a clerical So I'll mark maybe for you soon, but it's great, seniors who are, have a tough time making ends meet, there are things that they'll pay, so if we want someone in the borough to file, or patents help at her place, or any of our departments, the county would pay for that. But there's, again, strict income requirements. So I'll bring more to your attention when I have one. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes a request from IOSCO to use the chambers for their annual association meeting, leaving the raffle for Friends of Library, and removal of 2 individuals from the fire department roles. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Pending business. The first item, we are finally at the point of completing the codification that our ordinance review committee has worked so hard on for so many years. We sent you 2 coded systems many months ago and back and forth between them and the committee for final corrections. And we're not changing zoning, this is just codifying it, putting it on the books in print for anyone and everyone to have access to. So what we're doing tonight is introducing by title simply an ordinance to amend Chapter 92 of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale titled Zoning, simply introducing the fact that we are codifying this. So I need a motion, if I may, to introduce by title ordinance 29, 2013. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. Is there any further discussion? The second and final reading on the 24th, 7:30. Roll call.
Councilmembers D'Amato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yelsey.
Yes.
And that would be an ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 92 of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale zoning.
Thank you. And thank you again to the committee for all their incredibly hard work on this. Moving along, this is why I thought the Burgess was this evening. But it is on the agenda that we are formally scheduling the presentation by Burgess on the 24th at 7 p.m. in regards to the Riverwalk. Councilwoman Shortman, at the last meeting, you were talking about getting the word out, and I suggested knocking on doors is probably your best, you want to try to get businesses there. So again, we've Facebooked it, we've website, Trailers covered it, the patch hopefully will cover it if they haven't already. So I don't know if you wanted this on here for any other
The
reason.
reason I wanted it on here is I see the flyer that was developed, which is very nice, but my problem is when I look through the list of business owners, most of them don't live in Bloomingdale. So knocking on a store and, I've done this through campaigning, you hand them to a kid who works there.
Right.
And it goes nowhere.
Right.
And I think we can combine this with 12C, even though they're not, exactly the same, but they do involve the business district. And I don't know if you need a motion, but I think that we need to use this flyer to also include, get people here to sign up to become part of a bid organization as they have in Compton Lakes. I think we need to do more to get business people in here to discuss remedies, to discuss what can be done with downtown, and I think that this could definitely be part of that. However, the list, I believe this flyer should be sent to everyone, and I'll make that a motion.
Well, yeah, so that'd be a motion, has to do with, do we have the funds anywhere to do that?
Well, I know that we've increased our expense account by several thousand dollars a year.
Yeah, it's obviously under any sort of quote or bid threshold, less than $500 in postage. I'm sure the council has no problem doing that. So tomorrow, Jane and I will review the list and the postage and funds, make sure the $100 is there, because it's not going to, how many people are you talking about? Probably less than 100.
Oh, yeah, I think there are, but I also think we could use the opportunity to revamp this and include, to come, because even if they come to this, we can get them to sign up to participate in more of the business district.
And again, no disrespect, this was on our last meeting 2 weeks ago, and again, this is your issue, so I'm gonna pass the buck to you, say, come in and sit with Jane, and work on the development of a flyer. Did you include
I
that?
can't ask the borough administrator to do
You
that?
want, I'll create a flyer, but I'm.
Oh, I like the
this is
flyer that
your-
was created. I'd like to not be the only one creating the idea of the business district, which I
This
need.
is no disrespect. You could absolutely ask me to do it, but it was done and you want changes to it. That's why.
No, I
you-
want additions
It's
to
your
it.
part.
Why don't you just send additions to it and we'll get to it.
Right.
Well, the additions are to come and become part of a business district group.
See,
But
you
we
can't,
don't
you
have-
can't, wait. You can't do that because a business improvement district has to be done by ordinance. There's a whole complicated process on a business improvement district. I supported business improvement district. The last time we brought it up was 2002, and the business owners almost cut our heads off. I still would support it, but because ultimately it's a tax on the business owner. Compton Lakes is very successful in their marketing techniques and all that they do, because they have a bid, but the average business owner pays about $1,200 annually into this bid. And that's what funds mailers, funds all their beautiful flowers on Main Street, funds the facade improvement program Compton Lakes is doing. I'm all for bringing that to the table, but
Maybe
one
I'm
has
not,
nothing to do with the other.
well, I'm not really considering, this would be the first step to maybe eventually going there. I just like to get all these people in a room and talk about ideas. What could we do? What do you support? Maybe not as far as, here's an ordinance that's going to cost you $1,000 a
I'm just saying, you can't advertise a bid because that's the process.
No,
I have no
no,
problem.
but you will get the general idea of what bid does, and you can't really move forward unless you get the people together to buy into it, even if it's just their ideas and their support initially.
And again, I agree 1,000%. The issue is, if you send a flyer, I mean, this is the sad truth, to the business owners, and just say, come talk about improvements yourself and all, I'm sorry to say, that most likely we've done this, they will be there. If you mention bid, and there's a potential of a
No, I'm not
cost,
going to mention that.
you'll have a packed house.
Yes,
Everyone
I
will
got
be
it.
there.
I got it. Well, I just
So
think it's time, maybe in 10 years, it's time to ask them to come together again and get just for input and ideas.
Do we still have a business association?
We have Rotary and Chamber. Chamber meets tomorrow. And Jane can bring the Riverwalk, obviously, you probably bring that to Chamber. You email me exactly what you want that to say, and I'll do that, I'll get it out to that list,
Okay.
right? But I'm gonna keep it specific to Riverwalk. Don't get into business improvement, that's a
Not
separate
even
thing.
Jane, we've talked about the chamber, how the chamber doesn't really focus on this type of thing, but do we have a membership in Bloomingdale, in our business area on this chamber? When you go to chamber meetings, are there business people there? I meant from Bloomingdale,
From Tri-Pro.
a few, not that many.
Linda, as I said, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but this is a Riverwalk presentation, let's leave it there. You're not allowed to.
But it's the business area that we're targeting, and that's the same area that we could also at least say, would you be willing to sit down and meet and talk about what we can do for the business people and what we can do for our
I
town?
don't disagree with you, except it won't be a Riverwalk presentation. It'll
Sure,
turn,
they'll come, no, but after they walk out for that, just so I know.
Ms. Shortman, we want a river walk in this town, which is going to cost us millions of dollars. Now you're trying to get support by having us motioning and inviting businesses to get you more support to put this river walk, which we can't afford.
You know, Ray,
Why don't you bring
Ray,
that to us
I was
first?
going to-
Talk about the cost and the impact to the taxpayers before you go and get more support behind it.
I know you're very worried about the cost, but
That's right.
let's look back 12 years to when this town instituted the Rose Fund. What do you think this town has spent developing, because we have this history. We now have these beautiful facilities, we lighted them, we're getting bathrooms, we maintain them. What do you think that cost is?
We're not done yet.
But what do you think the
People
cost,
want a
what
walking
do
track.
you think the cost has
The
been
people of
until
this
now?
town want a walking track on that field. We're not done yet. You want to go spend all of that
That's not my
money,
question.
everything that we voted for on your Riverwalk project.
That
Enough already.
that is absolutely not
Enough.
true. I think the money that has
I'm
been
never gonna
spent
support
to
the river.
develop our sports has been well spent, and it has been well received from county grants, and that's exactly what I'm thinking of doing. I am not thinking of taxing people more and more and spending tens of thousands of dollars.
It is going to be
We're
millions.
talking about something that was brought up over 10 years ago, supported by the Rose Fund Advisory Board, supported in the Open Space Master Plan, supported in the Vision Walk,
Look, I
and
would love
it's
the
a beginning.
river
It's a tiny
If we had
beginning.
zero
I
debt,
don't believe you'd love
I
it.
get right there with you and try to figure out how we're going to spend the next $1 million that we're going to collect in taxes. But we have huge debt. There's no way I'm going to support a
We're
river
talking
That's
about
going to add to our debt.
grants.
Forget it.
Grants and Rose Fund. We have 2 full-time employees paid out of the Rose Fund. We're talking about clearing a path in the woods.
Well, that's
Is that what you want the business owners to come to clear a path?
It's a
in the
beginning.
woods?
It's a beginning
You're
of
mixing,
something
you're
this
mixing.
town has wanted for
You're trying
over
to get
10
support under
years.
your pet project here, and it's enough.
Well, again, if you're for something, you're going to try to gain support for it. But on that issue, you send me the changes you want, I'll get that flyer out to the business owners, although I'm asking that we stick it to river presentation as step 1. The conversation can go.
Well, I know we're spending a lot of money in this mailing, and I was trying in a small way to actually use the money in the mailing to maybe just email me if you're interested in a future
Okay.
meeting.
Send me what you want, I'll draft something,
Okay.
get your blessing, and then I'll send it out.
Okay.
Maybe we could come up with some sort of questionnaire or something like that for the business owners to take while they're here.
We should get through step 1 first. And then we'll go to step 2 if we can get
I
step.
will put something in there about the improvement of the.
The reason I'm doing this is to save the postage money and double use it for something.
But the concept of a bid is a great concept. It's just a tough sell in today's economy for business owners. It's not just Main Street business owners who are, those are the ones who benefit, but business owners on Macapin, Star Lake, they all would be paying.
Hopefully Union Ave.
Absolutely, every, any business. So,
But we also have this idea of improving our Main Street, and we have a lot of residents on Main Street also. We'll talk about that in the end of the 12C.
was it 12C, you put up, Jim?
No, I don't think so, did I?
Okay, was it, I think it was on the last meeting when we carried it over. Right?
Okay, I'm discussing that.
Okay, all right, so bottom line is, we're, 24th, we're having a Riverwalk presentation, I will get out the flyer to the business owners, and we'll market as we've been doing social networks. Okay, I need a motion to amend the policy handbook in regards to the health insurance opt-out, and all we're doing, because we've already changed the law, as stated earlier, we are simply stating in the manual that the health insurance opt-out process is now an annual process to be completed by the employees during the open enrollment process. And it's, need a motion to amend that handbook. Yep, my apologies, sure. We'll make a resolution 9.1. Amending the policy handbook moved by Councilman Yasi. Do I have a second? And there's any further discussion? Again, once this is completed, I will copy the governing body on the complete amendment. I've already sent you the policy manual, and this will be the next change to it. And then I'll send you all copies, as well as the employees signing as we receive it. Any further discussion?
When you say a resolution, is that legally appropriate since
Yes.
we don't want to have to resolve this every year?
What I plan on doing Tracy, was make it part of our reorganization process. Every reorg, we do 1 million resolutions that become standard process. This will become one of them, that we'll adopt the employee handbook as is each year. So when you make a
This
resolution to
particular
amend it,
resolution wouldn't have to be,
we'll amend it to include this change for the calendar year,
then
and
adopted
then the
as
reorg will
is.
adopt for the year going forward. I'm sorry, Tracy.
No, I think
Okay.
Sorry. Good. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Delver,
Yes.
Shortman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasi.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Okay, just a few updates from me. The first one, and this date, I don't know, just too small. We'll be opening bids. We'll be awarding the bid on the Walter T. Bergen restrooms on September 24th. We'll be awarding the bid for Rafkin Road project on October 8th. Sloan Park, there's no update at this time. We have not heard back from the DEP, who did inform me that I will hear within a week from August 16th, and we still have not. Again, county rehab program, I do have it in the agenda. I spoke to it in my report. $7,500 grants to Bloomingdale residents of any age based on income requirements for home improvements. Check the website, so we'll mark that out there as well. I want to thank our DPW staff, which I will again do tomorrow evening, for building our 9/11 memorial, particularly Al Gallagher, who had the insight to, or foresight to find and apply for the piece of the tower, which we were able to secure, which actually we, out of all the towns, which are many throughout the nation, received the largest piece of any other municipality. And thank Al for doing that. And thank Rocco DiGregorio, Al Allegrino, Clint Romley, Freddie Cook especially, John Descafano, and Billy Morris for building what you see there on Main Street, which we'll be dedicating tomorrow evening. Town paving resumes tomorrow. As you can see in the parking lot, the milling machine. And this is what we have funded this year. The balance of paving, which includes all our crosswalks, 3rd Street, section of Red Twig, section of Clark, Sophia, and the list goes on and on, which we reviewed in the past. But that begins through the co-op via Tilcon contractor Fitzpatrick tomorrow. Starlight Reconstruction DOT, we've done the resolution approving it. Filing deadline is 9/20, and that will be filed timely for our 2014 Department of Transportation application. And I believe the engineer cost estimates for a full rebuild, drainage, et cetera, is close to $800,000. We'll apply and see how we do. The DPW generators in the process of being installed. As you know, we funded that this year. This was an item that our DPW did not have, and so when we all lost power, so did our DPW. Well, those days are over. As Mr. Miller mentioned earlier, our new Mason Dunn and Kubota are in, working great, and our staff is thrilled. We're seeing a lot of improvement out of that. One thing I didn't have on here is the infrastructure loan program we applied for 5 streets for our sewer water replacement lines, which is a 50% principal forgiveness program through the DEP. We were told we'd hear by July. Now we're told we'd hear by November. We're confident, no one will put it ready, that we're getting funding. But now you have a list of 26 things they now require, which Paul and I are working on. Again, initially scared me thinking there'd be more cost involved, but it's really just contracts and bid specs and things I think will be fine. But I'll have that in by the deadline, and hopefully by November we hear not whether, how much. On that. Just an update on that infrastructure loan, because we haven't really talked about that since January. But it's out there. Okay. Item E. It's the second final reading and public hearing on ordinance 28, 2013, noise level control. I need a public notice statement, please.
This ordinance is posted and this will be posted in the Herald News. Copies available to the public, so the motion may be made that it be read by title.
And who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, the County of Passaic, the State of New Jersey, the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale to supplement Chapter 3 Police Regulations, Article 3-5, Noise Level Control, Section 3-5.4, certain noises prohibited.
Okay, thank you. And who makes the motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to 28, 2013 noise control, please come on up. And just let me state before anyone does come up, this has to do with setting time parameters for machinery. It does not have to do with entertainment facility. I had somebody think it had to do with a tavern having a band or something like that. It doesn't. It has to do with a neighbor not being able to cut his grass, blow his leaves at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. Okay, and that's what we're doing, because the existing ordinance strictly dealt with decibels, and we've had a few complaints, as Councilwoman Shortman has mentioned as well, of people having that problem. Their neighbors are, particularly on weekends, doing construction and starting the chop saw at 6 a.m. So we just put some parameters in place. The weekday times are pretty liberal. I mean, there's still a 7 a.m. start. I mean, but there are some forgiveness, less restrictions on construction projects. You know, example like an Avalon Bay. They're going to have a little more liberal examples such as that. Right? So the ordinance is there to be read, but it has nothing to do with, it's an entertainment facility. I just think people thought that I was actually confronted that that's what it was about. It's not. Primarily machinery and equipment used in town and Surrey. So, and there's a motion. Was there a second? I apologize. We move that along. Anyone wishing to speak to 2813 noise level control, please come on up. State your name and address for the record. So quiet for noise. And I need a motion to close public comment.
So moved.
All in favor? And who makes the motion to adopt? Second, any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
So are you saying that this ordinance does not pertain to Avalon Bay?
Well, again, there are exclusions if you read the ordinance. You have them written? Copy of the ordinance. Right. Just want to read that section. Again, this was reviewed by the ordinance committee, and I did receive, you mentioned earlier, Board of Health, emailed me today. I told Mr. Coriel, we're adopting tonight. I'll send it to you because they want input. I said, well, here it is, let me know, and you can always reintroduce it if we need to, but I think you'll be satisfied. This is just a, the section we're amending. Noise from within any premises located in a business or industrial zone shall not exceed, we're still leaving the decibels. Okay, we haven't changed that. Okay, noise level shall be measured at the boundary of the lot. The noise from premises in any other zone between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. This is all existing, shall not exceed 65 decibels. Between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., not exceed 55 decibels. The noise levels are measured from boundary line. Motor vehicle requirements. Here's what we've added. Noise from power equipment. We added item E. The noise from power equipment in residential areas for repeated use such as but not limited to lawnmower, small lawn, garden tools, snow removal equipment shall not exceed 74 decibels. The noise level shall be measured at 50 feet from the source. Noise from construction, demolition, and use of power tools and power equipment. This is what was added. Now has these times between April and November, 7 a.m.
So my question is, isn't Avalon Bay construction?
This is not the complete ordinance, though. There was exclusions, and maybe they were. I'm sorry. Provisions of these paragraphs shall not apply to the following: emergency services, snow removal, or any circumstances deemed as an emergency by state or local officials. I'm going to defer to, not to put you on the spot, Bill. I thought for larger, like an Avalon Bay would not have to comply with this. Was there provisions in that, in the existing ordinance?
The intent of this modification to the police regulations was intended for the residential zones. That's where it was primarily intended for, the residential zones. Now, an Avalon Bay development or any other large development would be bound by the actual decibel
Correct.
indications in the ordinance itself. So that hasn't changed.
Because again,
Well, my concern is Avalon Bay is, the back part of it is quite close to some residences who spoke to me in Forest Lakes. And I was wondering, they can still work on the weekends so early?
they're zoned because of the zone that they're in. Avalon Bay zone is not residential.
Yeah, but the people who are affected are residents.
But it's
And if you
within the
take,
boundaries of the zone.
well, I guess it would be different, the Patriot Ridge, if they ever come in to build those houses. They could work on weekends at this hour too?
Again, these are the hours posted.
They would be, I'm just
Apply by the
wondering,
hours.
the hours,
If it's a residential zone, correct.
they would. But because Avalon Bay is not residential zone,
It's what, it's inclusionary, I mean, what do we?
Avalon Bay sits in the affordable housing zone, and it's a hybrid zone. All right? As I said, the intent was to address the residential zones here, Linda. An Avalon Bay development, which is major construction, would be governed by the police ordinance that exists already, right? And the noise level regulations that exist already.
Which which is 80 decibels.
So
Is
there's
there a
nothing
noise
changed there?
ordinance? Is there also a,
It's a part
you
of
mean
this.
this ordinance?
Yes.
Yes, part of this ordinance, it already
So
exists. and
the
it's
only
80.
thing, yeah, I understand what the intent was, but if we change these hours, I would think that this wouldn't address, this would be, they would have to abide by these hours. That's my
Depending
opinion.
on the zone. Right. It's a true R10 zone or an R20 zone, but it's not a residential zone.
So if they would put apartments on my street, they'd have to abide by this.
I was just thinking of the commercial zones that would border and affect residential people.
This is to
This
stop,
is.
this is to stop the Hatfield and McCoys from fighting over their neighbors cutting grass at 6 in the morning. This is not to stop growth and development and deter it, down with an item such as that.
Yeah,
We're
but
saying
you know,
it's X.
come on, stop
X.
growth and development. They're building, it will be there, and it's not gonna stop growth and development. What it's gonna do is give people who are on top of this an extra 2 hours on a Saturday and Sunday. It's not gonna change the development, it's just going to say, okay, today's Sunday, and I don't have to listen to it at 7 a.m. I am in a residential, so those people belong there.
Right, but the elevate's not. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor, and I need a roll call, please.
Councilmember Shortman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasi.
No.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes. Okay, new business, resolution 2013
I thought this should be
9.2, sale of a 1999 Ford Explorer. We have a Ford Explorer that was formerly a detective's vehicle that has absolutely no value, no transmission. And as a result, we are disposing, I'm sorry?
It's just the,
Is that going through auction or no?
No, and as long as I can prove there's no value, which we had for our mechanics, we did this one before, we're selling it to an employee for $50 for the park, because he has an Explorer. He approached me, and I deemed the value with the mechanic at zero, because it has no transmission, no damage, well. So we're selling it for $50, I just need authorization from the governing body to do so by resolution 9.2. That's fine, and who makes that motion? I need a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? And I need the employees, Mr. Dan Hager. With a roll call, please.
Councilmember Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasi. Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman.
Yes.
I'm looking for approval, and I'm sure you'll all support it. There's a company called GrantStation.com, which is simply an outlet to kind of organize public grants. And normally the subscription of GrantStation is $700 annually. There's a discount for the League of Municipalities that we were emailed, and I copied everybody on it, for $95. Now, obviously, it's within my budget. I can move along. I just want to make sure everyone's on board with that. And then there's a tool that I can access, we all can access. Once they sign up, I'll get passwords, give it to everybody to search for grants. I think it's pretty much a simple decision to make. And, just for the record, just give me a motion to approve the membership at $95 annually for GrantStation.com.
So moved.
Second.
And any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Discussion in regard to recognizing properties in the business district. I believe you did have this on the last.
I had it on the last, and I don't know where it went before we ended the discussion and asked it to be put back on, but obviously we did. Again, I think that our business district needs to be recognized. I don't know, I think I sent almost everyone a picture of the, wasn't a business, but it's a home across from Quick Check, I think. It was gorgeous all spring. It is, I mean, to drive down the street and look at a place like that, you say, wow, I wish that the whole town could look like that. I don't know if there's an appropriate committee that would investigate businesses and homes in the business corridor that really look well. I mean, we all know how lovely Bob's Barber Shop is and places like that. and just send them a certificate of appreciation. I think it goes a long way to them. You know, it's nice. I know I gave stickers for years to kids, and they loved it.
Populates the older room they do, that's what you brought up last meeting.
Well,
I think that's the Chamber of Commerce, does that. Why don't we do this? Why don't we, like your liaison to recreation, I just think it might tie there, you know, or even our master gardeners. If they have any interest. Let's start with rec.
Doing what?
You're asking the committee to do this, to judge.
I'm
to
asking
recognize.
maybe just us as a council to do it, and maybe pull people in with other recommendations for places that they see that are looking good, and just send a certificate of appreciation.
Be a great project.
Just along the business.
They should do it.
Well, they're around town, they drive around about all the time, they recognize them, you got the people take care of the flowers in the
I
back.
think it should just be an interested party of people.
All right, so why don't we do this?
Mind doing.
We're going down our river walk, we're gonna send business owners a little copy about, you know, wanting to talk about the future more. I'd ask Mike to just, in the next rec meeting, or send an email to Brian, just say, hey, put this on your agenda, discuss it. You know, Main Street Rec program, beautifying, see if they have any interest in doing it. And then, Linda, why don't we commit to say, before the year's out, October, November latest, that we do that mail out to just the businesses, talk about business improvement district, because we'll get them here if we do that. We mentioned, it's funny, in my lake where I'm president, no one comes to my meetings, but if I say dues increase, I get them all. And even though I have no intention of a dues increase, just get them there to actually hear what's going on in their community. So, I'm joking, but why don't we, you and I privately will talk about doing this sometime in October, November, with the business part, to really grow on that. We all agree with it. It's just going to get the businesses on board. Mike will start with rec from a recognition standpoint, and then the next meeting we'll all report back. That sound like a plan?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else have any items? I need a, well, just so Jane, that will remain under pending business now, please. I need a motion to open the late public comment.
So moved.
Sonmeyer and John, all in favor? Any motion to speak? Please come on up, say your name and address for the record. Yes, sir.
Al Norton on Mary Street. Every time this river walk comes up, it seems to be a big to-do. My question is, Ray, you said something about people want to have a walking track. Well, how do you guys determine who wants what?
Well, Ms. Shortman mentioned a plan, something that was discussed years ago. That was part of that plan as well.
No, I just
And every
curious,
time-
how do we make a determination on what the people want in town? Okay, I can be honest. If you go out by the river, around April, fishing season starts, Saturday morning, 5, 6 o'clock, how many people do you think you see on the river? The river's loaded. I mean, when I was a kid growing up in this area, I was on the river all the time.
This river's
I
not
just
loaded.
think,
This river's not loaded back here,
it's not what?
loaded with people. It's not.
Oh, at times it is, Jim. I'm just saying is, here's what I'm talking about, is that what makes the determination, how do you determine what people want? How do we do it? I mean, when you talk about the walking track, where did that,
Well, that's been
That's
done.
what people want.
Okay,
what?
both?
That's what people want.
How do you know that?
I've knocked on doors, I've talked to
Oh, you
people,
went around
and
knocking
they
doors, and
said,
said, would you like a walking track?
that's what people
The
want.
walking track is-
Whatever happened to
I
our
don't know,
non-walking
tell me,
track?
how do you know people want it? I gotta tell you, I don't want nothing that's gonna cost me money. How are we gonna pay for a walking track?
Right, well, we're applying for grants like Councilwoman's stated. Here, it's a difference of opinion, is what it is.
Oh, exactly, the difference of opinion for the people that are on the council.
Right.
The residents, I'm not sure you pick what's what the residents want. How do you do that?
Well, I guess that's called election.
Yeah.
You run a net, and then you
Councilman
got
Yazdi doesn't support the river
I'm
walk.
saying overall, I mean, how do you know what people want?
When the Burger School project started many, many years ago,
Yes.
all right, people were getting involved, and I was on that committee years ago with Bernie, and we walked, trying to find, that was part of the original project, and there was a lot of
Interest.
interest. Okay. So that interest is still there to complete that project. This is a whole totally separate project. that
No, I
there's
understand.
other people that have
I've
interest
been
in.
to meetings, I hear about it. I mean, I know Linda, we talked about the whole thing, and then, you know what? I just don't know what dictates the people want.
We already had a meeting at the Riverwalk once a year already, correct?
Yes.
and the discussion, and we had a few people here, and discussion how it was going to come about in and out, in and out, and the cost factor came up from the residents.
Okay,
The guy speaking basically said it's going to cost a lot of
I
money,
was here,
okay?
I heard.
So,
Yeah.
there are a lot of, the dollar portion from there is cutting out. I think that's what Ray is referring to. Linda took the ball and ran with it for the
Right,
grant.
you got
did all that
$30,000
part there.
grant.
We're going to do it all over
We did
again.
investigation, we hired somebody, that they're coming on the 24th.
Correct. And we'll see what they have to say this time.
What's on the 24th, we can tell what it's gonna cost to do this.
Give you an idea, but I'm not gonna give you much
Oh,
detail.
well, he gives you
Okay,
a ballpark number, but as I say, if you look back to when you started improving our fields and you added up the costs, and you put that out then, and we're gonna spend $1 million and have these fields, people, maybe a Ray would or I would have been sitting there saying, you're ridiculous, where are we gonna get this money? Well, that's how we're gonna follow the lead of,
Basically, we're
The
going to do,
sports.
we're going to listen to the,
Right. I'm
guys
here
on
for
the
it, I'm
project.
curious
We'll
to
come
see
here,
this.
see what he has to say, and eventually there'll be a decision.
I don't have to debate all the time. The Rose Fund, the first collection of the Rose Funds was in 2001. It's raised to date approximately 1.2 million. That's 400,000 in it, which means 700,000 was
Let me ask
spent.
this question.
Let me finish, please. 300,000 was on open space. So 650,000
that's
on
gone, that's
recreation.
gone now.
No.
Yes, yes,
It cost
yes.
you 245,000 in
No,
open
yes.
space. Listen, over 13 years. So you can't build a riverwalk over 13 years.
Why not?
Okay. Again, I'll back up. It's a difference of opinion. But to the respect of all in the governing body, we're still hearing, we're still having a presentation. You know,
No, I
if the
understand.
majority of this governing body didn't support, and I don't think does support the Riverwalk, we haven't stopped the process. We're still having a hearing, we're still listening to all these presentations. We're not shutting it out.
No,
Ray doesn't agree with you.
You're not shutting it out, but every time the topic comes up, okay, it always leads to one thing, nobody wants to.
No, he never does do that. No, Ray said, I love it. I
I
love it. He
would
didn't
love
say
to
nobody
have
wants
one.
it.
If it was there, I would go probably check it out once a year.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Would you rather have a river walk or a walking track at the park?
I go to the gym. I'm a member of the gym up on 20.
Safe answer.
Huh?
Safe answer.
What?
That was a safe answer.
When you come
Oh,
up and
no, I'm
ask
saying,
why,
I don't walk around track, I don't, I'm sorry, I mean, but I just.
when you come up and ask why,
Okay, no, I'm saying,
worried about
all
the
right, let me
cost.
ask you this. If you
Which
look
one
at
would you
all the
rather?
residents of Bloomingdale and ask them, how many of you would like to be willing to pay more money in your taxes to have a walking track? You're going to tell me you think an overwhelming amount of people are going to say, oh, yeah, I love that,
You
great,
put in
way.
for a
Tax me
grant.
some more.
We put in for a grant.
So we're
The
willing,
county grant.
We're going to pay for the whole
Hold
thing.
on. 2 years ago, we put in for a county grant for the bathroom.
Right.
Ms. Shortman walked into that meeting and put in a second request.
that isn't the
They
way it
canceled our
happened.
$100,000 grant and gave us a $30,000
That
grant
is
to
not
do
the
her
way
study.
it happened.
Let me ask you this, right? How do you-
That's what happened.
Okay, let me ask you.
No, it is
You
not.
ripped off every kid in this town.
Oh, my
Come on,
God.
Ray.
Now,
Let me ask you this, how do you guys, who dictates what grants are for? Who makes that decision?
well, collectively, we do.
We
Do
just
you
did.
collectively?
Yeah, we put it in.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Constantly, I have, we did the Star Lake grant, I got permission from the governing body, that's what we seek, Star Lake. Recreation, we did through a American Disability Act grant for this walking track. Every year, we go to the county, we look at the leisure field. So it comes to the governing body. There's not as many as there was 10 years ago.
No, I'm just saying, everybody's aware, everybody, we have a vote, everybody says, okay, we all agree
There's
this is what
something
we're
through
going
the
to do.
state called SAGE, which I had access to with our police department as well, that I'm constantly on with the state, to the Department of Consumer Affairs. It tells you about all the grants that the states offer, which are far and few between, and/or don't apply to us based on population, based on a lot of variables. A lot of them are, urban areas, certain things. But I'm constantly researching that. Tonight, we just authorized membership to grantstation.com, which is another avenue that we can explore. And when I get them, or any council person gets them, like Councilwoman Shortman had the one for the 30,000, whether Ray, agrees or obviously disagrees with it, brought it to the council at the time, and the council decided to submit, 100,000, which I lobbied for.
Was there 2 grant
Yeah,
requests,
and-
yes or no?
Yes, and
There was.
30,000, and obviously if the county has in front of them 2, they're going to take 30, not 100. But next year we got the bathroom. So it's a difference of opinion. But again, in all due respect to the governing body, I'm not going to poll them and put them on the spot. But I would venture to say it is probably 6-1, 5-1, 4-2 at the biggest against the Riverwalk. But the governing body is not stifling the progress. I respect everyone here.
No,
We're still going forward.
My concern was, how do you determine what people want?
Right.
That's my question.
Well, you do like we did on the lights already.
Exactly, a referendum.
Right.
Well, yeah,
You don't have to put a referendum.
that was perfect, I agree with that. Build up to the public.
That's one way.
That is
That's
an
okay.
extreme solution to figuring out what people want. You obviously can't do that for
Right.
everybody. And all you can really do is talk to people and try and get a feel. And obviously, you can't talk to all 7,500 members of the
But
town.
ultimately, the governing body, whoever it is here, is the one making those decisions.
You know what, if you can grant for it and pays for it 100%, and it doesn't cost the residents anything,
Yeah, it's a
I'm
no-brainer.
okay with
It's
it.
a no-brainer. Right.
Okay? But anything now going forward that's going to be a grant plus the town has to kick in money to finish the
I'll say,
project? No, I don't agree with that at all.
if I may, I'll say three things on the Riverwalk. In a perfect world, who could say it's a terrible thing? It's lovely to have a Riverwalk in our downtown, and that's what I'll say, number one. Number two, I always said this, if there's only 100 things wrong with Bloomingdale, this is 101. Okay? And number three, I think we should fix the front of Main Street before we fix the back of Main Street. Those are so I'm not hiding anything, my three statements on the Riverwalk. It's a great concept, okay? But there's a lot more than
My
has to be
main
done.
thing was,
The
the
front
Riverwalk,
needs
I
to be done
just use
before
it
that.
as an example to talk about the walking track. Okay, and the whole thing with the walking track is, hey, if you can get the money to a grant, it doesn't cost the residents any money, I'm okay with it. The other question is, as relative to the council, the mayors, how do you manage grants? I mean, you explain to me how you go, I can put this, does everybody vote, get together, you have a private meeting? Okay, I have 4 grants, which one does everybody like us to go after?
We do it publicly, all of us. It's always done publicly.
Can I piggyback? I'm sorry, let me just say that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to give a little more information for the walking track part.
Yes.
When I was on the Board of Ed and the liaison here, and the discussion about the lighting and stuff like that, I had several people, educators or people around the school, ask me what, is the referendum going to include the walking track? Or what happened to the walking track or stuff like that? So, to what was said before, it is still in people's minds from 10, 12 years ago, whenever it was written.
Okay.
So,
But there's different clientele for each project.
right, exactly.
No,
So,
I'm not saying I'm against the Riverwalk. I'm sorry, I'm not saying I'm against the walking track, okay? I'm just saying is, if it gets to the point where it's 50% funded by a grant, and the town has to pay the other 50% to complete the project, no, I'm not for it,
right.
okay? I mean, everybody I ever talked to, I've been around talking to people, okay? People have 2 concerns, okay? Not being able to live here and pay taxes. I mean, you know what, and anything is going to cost us more money, we shouldn't be doing. I mean,
And
nothing
your
against
concern was the
Riverwalk.
Riverwalk, and that's gonna cost us more money,
We'll see
yeah?
what the guy says, that's what I'm saying.
That's
It's the
simple.
same thing, right. If you can't fund 100%
I'm
for the
sorry, were
walking
you at the
track,
first meeting?
Which
You
one?
said you were at the first meeting.
which one?
And did the guy say it's gonna cost a lot of money to do it?
No, I was sorry, somebody was, the meeting I was at, somebody came up, had comments about the Riverwalk. I don't know who the person was, okay, maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, but there was somebody here at one time, when I was at a meeting, who stood up here, wasn't sure who he was, and made comments about not wanting to have the riverbank. So I don't know if it was somebody who, I don't think it was somebody who was here intentionally making a presentation on the Riverwalk.
Yeah,
I'm just saying somebody made a comment.
You were here, we had the same guys coming on the 24th, Ed Stikus from Burgess Associates will present it. And that's when we will ask, I'm sure Councilman
I'll be
Yancey's
here,
first
don't worry
question
about
will be, how much will this cost?
It's a second presentation from the same
It's a
guy.
second presentation from the same guy.
I'll be here.
We'll see what
But
changes.
that wasn't, John, that's not my biggest point here. The point I'm trying to say is that I don't care if it's a river walk, I don't care if it's a walking track, okay? The point being is, if you can get it funded through a grant, and it doesn't cost the town any money, or the residents any money, I'm okay with that, okay? I'm just saying is, we're going to spend money. I don't want to spend any more money. That's the problem. I mean, Ray, how much debt have we paid off? Have we paid off any debt this year?
Avalon Bay is kicking in next year.
It's what?
The revenue from Avalon Bay is gonna start kicking in next year,
Okay.
right? The whole plan that we presented,
Well, I know, I just.
So that's all
See
gonna
what happened
start.
with Avalon Bay.
That's all gonna start next year. And in 10, 15 years, once we're done paying this debt, Now we can start thinking about ideas that cost millions. But right now, to be going
We,
full speed ahead,
right now, we're going in the right direction.
you know, taking
That's
away
fine.
one
Let me ask
grant
you
and
this.
putting
We have to
this
go on,
grant,
we need a police station before we need Riverwalk. We need, that's
It's a
not going on.
waste.
Oh, stop.
Wow.
it's a waste.
No,
Okay,
it's a
fine.
cost to the borough.
Right.
Yeah.
We need a police station before we need a walking track, okay?
Right, no, I
Same theory.
agree, I agree 100%. Oh, I don't, I agree with you. We do. But again,
If we pay $90,000 a year in county taxes to the county roads, recreation, okay? We had a $100,000 grant and a $30,000 grant. Guess which one they paid?
Oh, no, we've thought about it. I understand what you're saying.
Our walking track could have been done this year if it wasn't for that.
What is,
Now
what
we
is it
can
cost?
listen to it a
What's the
second.
That
cost?
wasn't for a walk.
What does it cost for a walking track? Anybody, what's it cost?
the walking track?
Yeah.
Depends on exactly what we don't want to do, between $85,000 to $220,000, depending on what we want to do.
Where would we put this?
It's already in the original design. It goes around, you know the current center macadam walkway the kids use to get to the cul-de-sac?
Yes.
That would now become part of the track. And then it would wrap the tennis court and wrap the big baseball court, that side. It's not a perfect oval quarter mile.
No, no, I'm all right. Like I said, as long as it doesn't cost me money, I'm okay with that. All right, that's my point.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to say something? Yes?
Bruce Miller, 7 Mary Street.
Yes.
Do you have fact that they chose the Riverwalk grant over the track grant? Or is that just your hope?
Well, let's put it this
No,
way.
I'm asking. do
My
you have
common
fact?
sense tells me,
No, I'm asking, do you have fact?
do I have fact?
Do you have fact that they
Like in what
chose?
sense?
Did they give a reason why they took one track over
I
another,
wasn't-
one grant over another?
I wasn't,
Okay, so you're making an assumption
no, I went through,
and spreading an assumption to people of the town rather than fact. Is
no,
that
I have
correct?
the
No,
paperwork.
it is a
How
fact.
every town got 130,
I'm saying, but
200,000.
I'm asking you, were you denied because of what the grant was versus the cost?
We were denied because of the cost.
Because of the cost.
Right, because if you have something in front of you for 100 or 30, obviously, the town is choosing.
Now,
the
let me
lower
ask
dollar.
you, if you have the Riverwalk, just for an example, for 25,000, and you have the walking track for 50,000, what are you going to put in for the people of Bloomingdale? Which would you take?
Riverwalk is not
I'm
25,000.
asking, no, I'm using hypothetical.
I would do one.
Well, that's not a fair hypothetical.
No, I'll answer that.
Riverwalk is millions of
You know
dollars.
Okay, I'll answer that hypothetical, Denise. No, let me answer that.
That's all right.
I will do it like it should have been done when we should never put in two. I would have done it subsequent years. Which one first?
There's no one in
Track.
this room who was offered, okay, who was gonna say, you can pay a $50 bill or you can pay a $100 bill. Who's gonna say, you know what? I like what we can do with that $100 bill. I'm gonna pay that $100 fee rather than the 50. So the constant badgering of which one got paid, it was common sense, like you said, it was paid because it was the lesser amount.
Correct.
Okay, is
Right.
there a guarantee if that 30,000 was not put in, your 100,000 would have been?
Absolutely, yes,
There's guarantee,
yes.
you have that in writing.
We get funding every year for
You
the
have
past,
it in writing that the 100,000 would have been guaranteed.
no, I do not have it in writing, but
Okay,
I
so
would
we should
guarantee you we
guarantee.
would have gotten it. Yeah, there is, because we get funding every year from the county. We
You
get
should
funding.
go through the pages and pages of county dollars that gets handed out to all the towns, and what we got was 30,000.
We get our 85 to 100.
Yeah, the town's got our money.
You're totally missing my point.
No, no, no.
It's just not.
No, the real issue here, Denise, is not, the answer is yes, they gave us 30 because it was cheaper than 100. The issue is, the governing body at the time should not have put in two applications. Because why would you compete against yourself? That's the issue. You
Are
know,
you only allowed to put in one?
No, you could put in more, but why would you compete against yourself? For different, I would put in two for the same dollar amount.
Is there a possibility of getting two out of that?
No, because the chances are they're going to give you more funding than you contribute. Is rare, okay? But I'm saying that's really the issue, is you really should only do one per year. So to answer your question, and I'll be perfectly frank with you, if that was the case, I would do 50,000 the first year for track, because I support track over Riverwalk, being honest with you. And the second year I'd go for Riverwalk, but never the two at the same time. I answered your question. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Tony Costa, 23 Hillside Drive. I thank you. I know on a side note here, I think, Mike, if you've gone down to baseball games, which I know your son's still playing. John, I know you've been down there. Mayor, I know you've been down there. Ray, you're always down at one of the fields. I noticed an overwhelming idea about the track coming, and with parents and so forth down at these events. I was down at a Little League baseball game once, and everybody was talking about the track. I mean, just as a consensus, it seems like everybody's talking about the track. No one at the time was talking about the Riverwalk. One of the main issues I would have against the Riverwalk is to first mitigate the problem you have with flooding downtown before you do that. How many times is the county going to provide us with grants or whatever to clean up the flooded areas?
And that's what, questions that'll be asked at the river presentation.
My
It's a
opinion
valid
of what
question.
you just did was compare apples to oranges. This council, a couple of years ago, we have a $1.8 million bond, and we are working on flooding. And I don't think, to my knowledge, that the open space would fund a flooding. I think that's a whole different.
I think what Mr. Costa's saying is you've got to fix your flooding issue before you consider investing in it.
So once you put that
Yes,
investment in,
exactly.
you'll lose it.
You're going to lose it. How many years?
Oh,
have you
because
lost
of the
it?
Riverwalk
Yeah.
flooding?
Yes,
And how
the flooding.
You know, Sloan Park, we just watched that, we'll go back.
Right.
and put it
We're
back.
not talking about Sloan's Park. We're
That
talking,
will be part of the Riverwalk eventually.
Talking about the river.
right, and hopefully eventually with all the plans we have for Sloan Park, that'll be taken care of. That's what we're working on now. That's all the problem we talk about with DEP permits. Who knew it would take a year and a half?
I think we all can learn a lot on the 24th. I know I have questions that I don't know the answers to yet. Flooding, to Mr. Miller's, many of his questions, to Councilman Yazdi's questions. We all have questions. I know, Linda, I'm sure you have questions. That's why we're having this presentation on the 24th. So we can all ask these questions, flooding questions, cost questions, all these questions. You have to be happy for all of us. Anyone else? Yes.
Bill Rath, 8 in reference to the comment that was made by Mr. Miller
Yes.
as to how do you know what you want, what folks want this town to do? May I suggest that, and I'm sure you haven't, but don't lose sight of the borough's master plan. The master plan is a 30,000-foot view, if you will, and you all know that. It's adopted on a periodic basis, right? And it has public input. Right? There are public hearings that are held, which really indicate, right, to you folks, right, which direction the folks in town really want to take. Now, once again, it's at a 30,000-foot view, right? But you know as well as I do that there are elements of that master plan. There can be and there should be a recreation element. There can and should be many housing elements, many elements to the master plan. So that's one way that I'm sure that you know that you gain input. Now, at a 30,000-foot view, then it comes down to the lower levels, if you will, the lower views, the more detailed views, and there are re-examinations of that master plan that are done on a periodic basis. In addition to all the other ways that a borough council has to find out, what the townspeople really want and which direction you want to take. But there's a starting point. The starting point is the borough's master plan, re-examined periodically. If it's done in a very legitimate, very open fashion, and people take it seriously and treat it as a living document, not something to be taken and put on the shelf somewhere. So, in answer to that question, just allow me to suggest that could be, and I suggest that could be one of the ways that you find out which direction you want the town to go, or the folks want the town to go in. And in addition to all the other ways that you've been talking about this evening.
Great, thank you very much.
And as I referred, the Bloomingdale Master Plan cites the Paquonic River Greenway, Riverwalk, in that master plan.
The open space master.
Yes.
as it does the traffic. So clouds the issue.
He does it, I don't think he
It
does.
certainly does.
No.
Anyone else? Okay, motion to close, late public comment. Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay, the governing body will go into late executive session where we have one personnel matter, 3 matters of negotiation. Consideration of executive session business will be given out for the public to be aware. Governing by schedule, candlelight walk tomorrow, 7 p.m. Lineup in Butler. Regular meeting September 24th, where guess what? We have a Riverwalk presentation at 7 p.m. Motion to go in executive? Second?
Here next week.
I'm sorry? Oh, I'm so sorry. We have one non-agenda item. So if we can, well, you know what, the Morse Lakes Birch Road one, I'll wait till the next meeting. I'm going to give you an outline real quickly. So, withdraw your motion to an executive,
I withdraw.
okay? Okay, sorry about that. I need a motion to approve William Morris sick leave, paid sick leave from September 11th until no later than October 9th. Who makes that motion? Do you have a second?
Does he have enough sick time?
Yes, he does. And we wish him well. He's,
What happened?
Can't talk about that.
we'll say we wish him
All
well.
right.
Yes, wish him well.
We wish him well. Resolution 9.3, roll call, please.
Councilmember Giassi.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sorry, the other item which we will not have action on, but let me give you a quick scenario. You guys can go look at it and we can talk about it next meeting. There's a homeowner, Marilyn Seeley on 42 Morse Lakes Road, who is not a Morse Lakes property owner's member, who has a driveway off of Birch Road, which is a Morse Lakes private road. So there were some issues in the lake about her driving on a private road. Long story short, the association put it out to membership vote, and membership overwhelmingly allowed her to continue to use our private road to access her side driveway, which has been there for 50 years. Okay, she's been there 20. Right. So, but to memorialize it, she pays $50 a year to not use this Birch Road, because we all pay late dues, part of that's road assessment. So she pays her $50 to use 100 feet of our road to access this driveway. Well, in order to get to this driveway, she needs to cross a borough easement, which has been existing for 40 years. Okay? So we would be looking to give her permission to continue driving over it. She has been for 20 years.
We get $50?
No. We have, we've let people put walls on, extend fences. On last meeting, we extended a fence on. So you want to look at it, corner of Morse Lakes and Birch. Very simple, you make the right on Birch, you see the driveway. And so she has association permission to drive on the private road. Now, just to put something formal, because there were people, neighbors objecting to it, but overwhelmingly the association supported it. So it would be good to have something memorialized that the town has granted this permission.
Well, once we do this,
There's also the issue, she might even show interest in buying the piece.
is that section paved or anything? Is it just a dirt road? What is that section?
It's long. It's
Then drive over.
20 foot wide, it runs the whole parallel to Birch Road, and her section is a section that's on her property line. If you remember, there was one at the top of the road, Mr. Azalino, we sold him a piece that he could put his septic on. Okay, this is a similar situation, just across a driveway. Before selling it to Azalino, we gave him permission to use it via probably an easement or whatever you were before your time. And he was smart, he bought it at the third title, so he didn't sell it, so it's third title. She just wants permission to the crossroad. So, I'll send you the information, you look at it. We have granted permission to use borough.
There's actually legal issue that generally support taking that action, which I can correct you.
That's fine. All right, but again, I just put it out there.
Just put out there any maintenance responsibilities that if she doesn't get stuck, we're
She's
going
actually-
to go back and fix it.
she's actually- her drive-
Unfortunately, it's rough.
Figure 20 foot of it, Birch Road to where her driveway begins is borough. She'd actually, pave that herself. So I'll copy all of it as far as I'm concerned. She's also willing to buy it. I don't see the need, we just give grant the permission to drive over. Okay, that's easy. So that was that issue, and we'll talk more about it at the next meeting. Okay, I need a motion to go into executive.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll take 5 minutes.